Hey, I think we can all agree that Create React App is quite magic. It's perfect for diving into React code really fast. And that's exactly why we started with it. That way you get hands-on experience with React right away. But I don't think it's the approach you should take 100% of the time. Since Create React App is magic, it hides many of the underlying details of React web development. You can't ignore those details, otherwise you're going to be stumped when it comes to small challenges like when you attempt to deploy your own React apps. For these situations, it's crucial to know the overarching web development details, like how exactly React is loaded on the browser, how it manipulates a core document that is represented by the HTML, and more. So that's the purpose of this section. We're going to take a step back and get that big picture understanding of React's overall relationship with web development. And we'll start with one main goal: to run a line of React code without any magic tools, without Create React App, just all of our own code from ground zero. That way you truly understand React from scratch. All right, since React is a web application framework, if the goal is to run React code, that means you have a sub-goal of setting up a web application. So let's set one up. First off, make sure you're in the React Bootcamp directory for this course. Then create a blank project to work with the mkdir command. And how about calling this starter? Navigate into the starter directory and then go ahead and open it up in your code editor. Okay, so as a web application, a React project must have a core HTML document. So the default HTML page is the index.html file. Setting up this HTML file will be a bit of a review since we already saw some examples from Create React App, but we actually haven't written the whole HTML ourselves from scratch. So let's do that now. All right, to start, we write this !doctype HTML tag. And this identifies to the browser that we're serving an HTML document. After that, we can write pairs of tags to structure the overall page, and we always start with the root level pair of HTML tags. Then the HTML is split up into a head and body section. Again, I think it's a little weird that they chose a medical analogy to go with it, but it's actually quite useful since everything for the structure goes in the body and all the meta information goes in the head. For the first div within the actual body, let's have a div that says Hello React. All right, cool. Next, let's load in some CSS and JavaScript. When serving up a web app, the HTML is only one of the three core pillars. The HTML is the structure, the CSS is the styling, and then the JavaScript provides the dynamic functionality. We're going to get to the CSS later, but let's load in some JS by providing a script tag at the end of the body section. This script tag is going to have a source attribute, and this is going to point to an index.js file, which we're going to create right now. So the default file is index.js, and let's go ahead and place it locally. Now, it's important that you place this script reference at the end of the body section. And the reason is, well, JavaScript has the ability to insert elements into this HTML document. But when you run this kind of functionality within JavaScript, it actually stops the browser from reading the rest of the HTML. So if you had divs over here and other tags after the script, the browser would start parsing those until it finished loading whatever was in this index.js file. Now, you don't want the browser to stop reading the HTML and delay presenting content to the user because of a slow script. So as a quick and straightforward solution, what we do is we place the script tag at the end of the body. So that way it doesn't delay anything loading within the actual browser. Okay, back to the index.js file, which you should have created. Let's do something simple. We're going to add a console.log of hi. All right, cool. Now, even though we haven't even written a single line or even a single character of React code yet, this is already pretty far for setting up the web app. We have two of the core pillars down, HTML and JavaScript. So let's go ahead and open up the browser and check this out. All right, go ahead and open up a window on the browser. And then instead of the regular HTTPS // protocol, we're going to directly use the file // protocol. That way we can access the file system right from the browser. And if you specify a /, you're going to find the root of your overall operating system. Go ahead and find your React Bootcamp directory. For me, that's in users, and then David, and then React Bootcamp. And there is the overall project. Open up the starter directory And within there, head to the index.html file. And if you look inside, there it is, the Hello React div. Very cool. Go ahead and inspect the element to open up the developer tools. And what you find in the console is that indeed we get the message of hi. Awesome. The HTML and JavaScript files are working. So now we're ready to move on to the big moment. We're ready to achieve the primary goal of running our own React code from scratch. First up, we'll somehow need to get access to the React libraries. For now, we don't need to install modules. The quickest way to actually do this is to get React loaded into your JavaScript using a content delivery network. In other words, a CDN. Look up React CDN, and this is essentially all the React code hosted on the cloud. So you'll find the CDN links right away from React.js.org. And the ones that you want are these top two for React.development as well as React.dom.development. All right. Head back to your index.html file once you have those and paste them above your script source index.js file. Now these scripts are loaded in order, so in order for the index.js file to have access to the React code, you need to make sure that React and React DOM are above the index.js file. All right. Once you have that, head back to the index.js file. And now let's get to it, the React code. For our first bit of React code, let's generate an element for the web page to appear using React. So remember how we explored the concept of React elements when we first explored React earlier with Create React App. As a refresher, React elements are inner JavaScript objects for React that represent HTML elements like divs, paragraph tags, image tags, etc. Now, normally, we write the syntax for elements using JSX. But in this case, let's use a more verbose alternative syntax to create this element, and that is React.createElement. This takes three arguments. First is the div. The second one are the element's props. Now, props are another topic that we've looked into before, and we won't have props for this element, so instead of providing an object, let's use the null keyword. And finally, as the third argument, we have what we want to appear in the element itself. So how about some text that says React element? And since it's so exciting, why not an exclamation point? Cool, so that should create a React element object. Now the reason we have this React code available without importing it, again, is because in our index.html file, we've already loaded the entire React library above this script. So since it's loaded in the same index.html file, this index.js file should have a valid React element defined. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make the index.js file the full window again. Now with this element, let's set it to a constant also called element. And now that we have this element, let's insert it. To insert it, we can use the React DOM.render method, which we explored previously. The first argument to this is an element, so let's go ahead and pass in our element object. And the second argument is where we want the element to render. So right now we don't have any divs with an ID yet, so why not just use the document.body to insert the actual element? Cool. Now we still haven't fully explored this object of the document. There's a lot more to it. It's a very powerful and crucial object on its own for all of web development, even beyond React for that matter. So we're going to return to it in greater detail later. But all right, with that, the goal has been achieved. We've written our React code. So let's see the result. Back in the browser, once you've saved the file with these changes, go ahead and reload. And what you're going to find is that, well, indeed, we have the React element on the page. Awesome. But if you inspect the element, what you're going to find is that we have a warning. And it says rendering components directly into document body is discouraged. So ouch, it's actually a bad practice to directly use a document body. So we already know the solution to this, or a potential solution, and that's within the index.html to add a div with the ID of root. And let's go ahead and get rid of this div of Hello React, so that way we have the one div with the ID of root. And now that we have that div back in the index.js file, instead of document body, you can use the document get element by ID function, and just target the div with the ID of root. Nice. All right, make sure you have those changes. And then back in the browser now, if you refresh, the React element is still there, and now the error is gone. Cool. We got React running. All considering, the setup was very minimal. What's necessary is the HTML, the JavaScript React library code, and then our own JavaScript file. Now, one thing that's missing from before is the JSX syntax that we saw when we had the Create React App Starter application. So as the next step in the project, let's refactor our main element to not use React Create element, but instead to use the nice and clean JSX syntax. If you enjoy this content, head to davidtkatz.com. There, you'll find links to full courses, as well as to reach out and connect with me. For React and Redux in particular, you'll want to check out udemy.com/React Redux Bootcamp. This is a course I made to help you learn React and Redux the right way, and to turn you into React and Redux developer. Okay, see you in the next one.